Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the future site of the Maritime Center of Excellence. Once again, I'm here with John Metcalf from the great class of '87, who's working as our owner's rep on the project. And if you remember, John, you and I were here just 8 months ago as they were demolishing Pine Hall. Quite a bit has happened since then. What do you think?
That's for sure, Bob. You mentioned 8 months. In my mind, it feels like 8 days. But since the demolition, Bob, you can't see it, but we drove 160 piles, which is going to support the deep foundation for the building. And each pile went about 50 foot into the ground to hit bedrock. And subsequent, next activity after that, Bob, we did a ton of the structural steel work and all the underground utility work to get us to where we're at today.
Yeah, it's incredible to see the progress. Thanks for all the hard work you've done. I had a chance to walk the site with Captain Hammond yesterday, and we're going to provide a link to that little demonstration. But what do you say you and I take a trip up to the second deck, check out the view and all the amazing stuff up there?
Let's do it.
Great. Okay, let's take a trip. See you in a bit. Well, here we are, John. We made it onto the second deck of the Maritime Center, and it's just amazing view as we kind of look back here to get a better perspective of the arches as this kind of starts to get built out forward with the wooden archers here in the middle, or the entrance, I should say, of the Welcome Center. Just again, talk us through a little bit about the project, where we are now, and kind of what folks are seeing as we're looking around the second deck here.
Yeah, you bet, Bob. Something you touched on is where we can see the steel columns on either side of the Welcome Center. There's no steel arches above them because this is where we're going to be putting glue laminated beams as these large arches to connect and create the roof structure.
Beautiful.
And with that, as you mentioned, we're standing in the Welcome Center right now, and it's truly going to be a phenomenal space because as you enter the Welcome Center, where we are at right now, it's going to have the glue laminated arches. In between the arches, it's going to be a wood ceiling running north to south. The floor is going to be a nice finished solid teak floor with a compass rose in the middle of it. And in addition, glass curtain wall on either side, Bob.
So one of my favorite features, you talked about the wood floor and the compass rose. The building itself is actually oriented due north. So as I'm standing here looking out at the softball field, baseball field, and up the Thames River, we're pointing just about due north, which, from a maritime perspective, from a sailor's perspective, it's always good to know where due north is, and you're going to be able to orient yourself with the help of this building. So as we take a walk a little bit down here, so this is the Welcome Center that you had mentioned. We got ourselves an elevator here, of course.
And you can see the tent right here coming up to the second floor. That's for the high bay boat maintenance facility to allow for the, we can actually fit 2 L44s in for maintenance inside the building.
And then another important feature here is I'm standing in where the classroom's going to be. So you've got the Welcome Center that's going to be connected to the classroom. So this will be a 30-person classroom. And again, you can't beat the view here. So as we walk out from the classroom, we'll have exits out to this really just amazing observation deck here that takes advantage of looking out at the waterfront, also being able to catch a softball game or a baseball game as well. So talk to us a little bit about what happens out here next.
Yeah, so in between these columns, we're going to have these full height glass curtain walls, we call them, to take advantage of the beautiful views of the Thames River. And there'll be sets of doors that allow cadets to be able to come out and step out on a teak deck and take advantage of the views, as well as on good weather days to be able to study or just hang with their friends or whatever they'd like to do. So part of the design is trying to integrate the outdoor space with the indoor space on days and seasons that we can do that. So
it's so amazing. And one of the things that's really kind of cool, if you remember way back to July when we had our keel beam signing ceremony, I don't know if Austin, our cameraman, can catch it, but you can see a darker blue beam up there, and we're going to get some tighter footage of that. But what's really cool and unique is we didn't just do the old normal groundbreaking ceremony. We took a piece of steel that's actually part of the building, part of the keel of the center line of that roof, and all of the classes that had pledged to the project up to that point in time have their class number on there, and some of their classmates got to sign it. So that will literally be a key part of the stability and the structure of this building. That's one of my kind of favorite parts of the building. We're so thankful to the classes that have joined so far. We've raised over $21 million, closing in on $22 million. That includes about $1.5 million of funding that the government's going to provide to outfit the building. So we're still actively fundraising on this project, John. As you can imagine, these things aren't cheap to build. The project itself has been really successful from a fundraising perspective. And the classes that haven't joined yet, that still want to join, you may not be able to get on the keel beam, but what we were able to do, thanks to John's help, was harvest a beam from Pine Hall. So that beam is actually gonna, it hasn't been affixed to the structure yet, but we're gonna install that at a later date, and to be able to have the new classes that come onto the project in the form of a pledge or a gift, they're gonna get their class year on the Pine Hall beam. It's just a cool way of connecting our past with our present here. Yeah, as I mentioned, we've had a significant amount of support from our alums, parents, friends, organizations to support the project from a fundraising perspective. But you know, we're building the building, but it's not easy to build a building in New England, especially during winter. So how are we doing? What are the challenges?
Well, Bob, a project of this magnitude always has challenges with it, but we have a great team between the Architect Smith Group, the construction firm, AZ Corporation out of North Stonington, Connecticut. So it's been a great collaborative team effort as challenges arose to be able to knock those pins down. And but it's always a challenge doing construction in New England throughout the winter, Bob, as you know. And as a Connecticut resident, we had the 2 feet of snow a couple of weeks ago that we had to deal with on this very constrained site. And tonight we're scheduled to get 60-mile-an-hour winds, so we'll see what we wake up in the morning to deal with on the construction site. But the team's been great in dealing with that, and we're on schedule and on budget right now for an October 15 opening.
Yeah, and that's great. And you know, again, kudos to the whole team that's been working this. The good news is the building's been put through its paces with some of the weather, certainly withstanding what Mother Nature has thrown at us so far. And again, a testament to not just the design team from AZ, or the design team from Smith Group, but the construction team from AZ, just keeping the site, keeping the project going. So again, yeah, thanks, John, for joining us. Thanks for all the hard work you're doing here to keep the project going and keeping us on budget, on time. It's really important. Thanks to Austin behind the camera, and thanks to everybody that tuned in today to see this video. We'll be out with an update fairly soon, but again, thank you, and look forward to seeing you next time.